So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Directors Club AI Education Seminar. My name's John Snow. I'm the chair and founder of Directors Club, and it's great to have your company, whether you are attending live or whether you're watching this on demand. Your company is very much appreciated. And over the next hour, we're going to be exploring the really hot and important topic of agentic AI in customer experience. And the title of our event today is AI Agents Hard at Work. And as I said in our marketing of this particular event, often experts and commentators talk about the use cases, the possibilities of AI agents. And today we want to actually look at AI agents that in the real world are actually hard at work, delivering customer care 24/7 for their particular organizations. And the company that who are going to be our subject matter experts today is Quiq. And we've got a team of experts, including a very special guest from one of Quiq's clients, which is Tappy Carpets and Flooring. They'll be introducing themselves as we go along, but we do appreciate Quiq's involvement in today's seminar, and we look forward to hearing all about this great new world of AI agents and agentic AI. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over first of all to Chris Humphris, and Chris will then introduce both Quiq and his colleagues. So Chris, over to you.
Thank you, John. It was a pleasure to work with Directors Club. As you say, part of a AI education seminar series. I added the word hard at work because, as you'd put in the information ahead of time around the seminar, around AI agents at work, as we all know, AI agents, the sort of latest evolution of leveraging generative AI. We all remember their predecessors, chatbots. So obviously one of the key things we want to cover today is to show the practical use of AI agents out in the field, as you say. So we're going to dig into case studies, dig into real results, because the key is that they should be considered a colleague, AI agents, and they should be doing a great job. So let's see how they're performing. So as John said, the three speakers today, we'll start with our special guest, Tim, to introduce himself, and then Mike and I will do a little intro from Quiq. But yeah, if you've got 30 seconds, Tim, do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. It's great to be here, everyone. My name is Tim Fisher. I'm the Director of Learning and Development at Tappy Carpets and Flooring. We've been working with Quiq for a while now, and I'm excited to talk to you about our AI assistant that we have integrated into our world at Tappy.
Over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. I'll be the one on today's call that has the funny accent. Sometimes it feels like the Brits have the accent, but the American has the accent in today's call. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm CEO and founder of Quiq. I have worked in the customer experience space for a long time. I'm going to talk about some of my background coming up as we introduce the company in a few moments. So I'll step back right now and continue my introduction in a slide or two.
Cool. Yeah, just finishing off, Chris Humphris, again, like Mike, been in the industry 18 years now, digital customer engagement. So I think between Tim, Mike, and I, we've got some good experiences to share. So as Mike alluded to, we want to start with a little bit of an introduction to Quiq. Very much we want to get to the practical examples today, but every which way you turn at the moment, AI is the subject, of course. So who are Quiq to be talking to you about this subject? I think that the key for us is we're very much practitioners in the field of customer engagement, born out of async digital messaging channels. So just do a little introduction to who we are. That will set the context, and then we'll dig into a little bit more about how to leverage AI in the wild. So back to you, Mike, around quick intro to Quiq.
Thank you. So at Quiq, we work with many of the leading brands, businesses that have direct relationships with our customers. And we help those companies automate those conversations as well as efficiently handle those conversations with human agents. We'll talk more about that in a moment. You see on the left-hand side, we work with many leading retailers, folks in the travel hospitality space, and Tim's going to be spending a bunch of time today talking about how we've helped Tappy and other retailers interact with their customers, as well as their store associates and internal employees, to be able to serve information more efficiently. Quiq has been around for 9 years, so we're well established. And in fact, we were doing AI before it was trendy. Prior to COVID, we had introduced our first, what I would call Generation 1 natural language processing based experiences. In those days, we called them chatbots, but they've gotten quite a bit smarter now, and they've been up-leveled to AI agents. Quiq as a company has very strong relationships with the leaders in the space, folks like Meta and WhatsApp, Apple Messages for Business. We also sell through leading technology companies like SAP and Microsoft. I promised I would spend a little bit more time and talk about my background. Prior to founding this business, I was CTO, so I'm a technologist by trade, reformed to become a business person. I was CTO at a company called Right Now Technologies. You may be familiar with Right Now. It was acquired by Oracle, and the Right Now product became Oracle Service Cloud later in the day. And from that experience, the team and I, either through Right Now or through subsequent experience that much of the team gained through Zendesk, Oracle, Genesys, LivePerson, and other leaders in the space, we understand very well what's necessary to deliver high-quality customer experience. So I think we're well positioned to help brands navigate this new generation of AI.
Okay, so if we click to the next slide, I think key thing we wanted to bring out is it's very much an AI plus human agent world, isn't it, Mike? So maybe just use this slide to introduce, from a customer experience point of view, what we're talking about.
Yes. So on the left hand of this slide, you'll see that a customer can interact directly with the Quiq platform through voice, through email, and through asynchronous messaging, whether that be web chat, or it could be an over-the-top channel like WhatsApp or SMS or Apple Messages for Business. In those experiences, the customer can be served directly by AI, but there's really two parts of our platform. And the first half is AI automation directly facing customers. The second half is the agent experience, where a human agent can interact with a customer while the human agent is assisted by AI. And so the AI that was built on the left-hand side to serve directly to the customer can also be, those data connections and some of the logic can be reused to also serve agents inside of a human contact center. And those agents working inside of the Quiq user interface can be, that Quiq user interface can be embedded inside of a CRM platform. So for instance, Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics or Oracle or Zendesk, Quiq works seamlessly alongside those systems, so that if you're already live with a customer service platform, have established workflow, Quiq will just plug right into that workflow. And the AI in front and the agents then behind for those issues that need to be escalated. The other point that I wanted to make on this slide was also the fact that if you're building an AI experience, there is work involved in building AI, because you need to collect your information, you need to connect to backend systems, and then you need to monitor and improve the experience as time goes by. And if you've implemented a point solution in AI that only works perhaps in voice, or maybe only for agent assist, the work involved in building and maintaining that AI is multiplied by the number of interfaces that you're going to be exposing the AI. And with the Quiq platform, it's essentially build once and run everywhere. And so one AI experience can run on voice, email, and messaging simultaneously. And those same data sources and backend data connections, for instance, like a where is my order lookup, can be exposed directly to the customer. It can also be exposed towards the human agent inside of our AI-assisted contact center.
Cool. I think the last thing I'd add there, I think is, for me, really powerful now is multimodal as well, where maybe you're on the voice channel and actually you want to offer some alternatives to rebook a flight. When we talk about Spirit Airlines a bit later, much better to do that in messaging, in SMS or WhatsApp. So that ability to move and add a channel on top of an existing one, I think is incredibly powerful too. So that's a bit of an introduction to the platform. So we want to get very practical today. Happy to obviously follow up, do demos, etc., with anyone who wants to sort of dig in. But I think one of the questions you raised again in the marketing materials, John, I think is spot on, and we hear it a lot, which is obviously, I'm sure everyone out there in the audience is leveraging generative AI, leveraging LLMs in their daily work, maybe as co-pilots and as consumers, typing into ChatGPT or Gemini to get advice. So what is this whole agentic AI thing? So we're sort of going to start initially a little bit at the philosophical level, and I guess the question to you, Mike, is that isn't agentic AI just leveraging generative AI? What is this agentic AI approach?
Yeah, and as a vendor in this space, I'm actually very frustrated because the term agentic came out just a few months ago, and instantaneously, everything that was previously generative, or even previously before that, AI, has turned into agentic. And that's not quite true, because there are some significant differences. When the term agentic was becoming known, I was pretty excited about that because it described much more what we do. But then everybody else claimed that it was agentic and so on. Now everybody does agentic and the term is somewhat meaningless again. So let me attempt to describe the differences. And as you are interacting with others in the space, the attendees on this call are interacting with others in the space, perhaps you can call them out and say, actually, I don't think that particular usage of AI is agentic. So what is the difference? Well, as you know, generative is just that. It's the ability to deliver a information that is generated by the AI, where we've consumed some information and we've been able to synthesize that information into a bespoke response for the particular inquiry or issue, in the case of CX, a customer's question. And so that was a significant advancement when GPT came out, now almost a year and a half ago, that we were able to now provide very specific, bespoke, customized, personalized answers to a customer. But the difference between generative and agentic is, the way I think about agentic is, if you think about what traditionally would have been handled by a first line customer service agent in the contact center, that agent is enabled to answer many different types of questions. And so first of all, they need to reason about what the customer's question is and reason a process to resolve the customer's issue. And then that process is oftentimes multi-step. Like, you want to change a reservation. Okay, which reservation do you want to change? Where do you want to change it to? I'm sorry, that is not available. What's an alternative? And there's a multi-step workflow that leads to an eventual conclusion. And so that's what I think about as agentic, is the same types of capabilities that frontline customer service agent might actually take on, as opposed to generative, which is, I go and collect some information and generate a specific response. But generative is very, very much like one turn, meaning that the interaction is, there's a question and there's an answer, and then the whole thing resets and we move on to the next question and the answer. Whereas agentic is much more about kind of like that workflow and doing a multi-step, multi-state process that was in the past more similar to what a human agent would do.
Cool. As we move to the next one, being more of a CX practitioner, obviously your technology background, really helps us to sort of go deep into that. I think sort of taking it up to the practical level for CX practitioners, it's interesting, isn't it, that you can give the automation agency Do you want to talk a little bit about, just expand a little bit more on what this agency means, and then I can maybe give a couple of CX tips.
Yes, absolutely. So as I described, agency, the ability to reason, make decisions, and set a path is a core part of agentic. Then the ability to complete that multi-step process while there's persistence during the steps. And in fact, it's not just a sequential set of steps. Perhaps during the sequence, the customer may ask a different question. Like in my reservation example, partway through the reservation flow where I'm changing my reservation, the customer might ask, well, what would the cost of that change be? And that might not have been part of the normal reservation flow, but the agent should be able to diverge from the path that it's on, resolve the particular customer's inquiry, and then revert to the path and continue on from where it was left off. So the other aspect of agentic is also the ability to understand multiple events that might occur during a process and be able to adapt and transform the process to be necessary to eventually reach the end of the workflow that was desired. So, and as you see on the right-hand side, the agent makes a plan, would execute multiple steps, may adapt based upon the information at hand and what it's learned during the processing of that particular job, and make contextual decisions during the flow there. Obviously, we're focused on deploying safe AI, and so the ability to make contextual decisions might actually feel perhaps uneasy to folks, because you don't want the AI to be doing decisions that are outside the scope of what you want to do. And so a large part of what we do when we implement AI is making sure that the AI has safeguards, fail-safes, guardrails that keep the AI within a set of boundaries so that we can allow it to reason, but only within the scope that we're allowing the AI to work in.
And I think for me, what sort of blew me away, and actually I was sitting next to you, Tim, at one of our sort of workshops that Chris on the call here was giving around how to build AI agents, is that, and I'm sure folks in the audience have experienced this when they've been building maybe agents themselves, writing prompts, is that actually when done well, when you're writing a prompt and then you're actually giving instructions to an AI agent, it's remarkably similar to coaching a human employee. You're using natural language, you're talking to it in the ways of giving, as Mike says, the guardrails and the direction as to what its purpose is and what it should do, and equally what it shouldn't do. And I say, anyone who wants to follow up to this, to actually dive into our platform, I think you'll find very, very quickly that it is almost like building out a human agent team. And of course, that's one of the themes we want to build out today, is that AI agents are just another colleague within your customer-facing functions. So three sort of practical uses of agentic AI in this respect, and we're going to touch on two of them today. So AI agents, as we talked about there, where you put the AI agent in contact with the customer through the different channels we mentioned, whether that's chat or WhatsApp or indeed voice. And then AI assistants that are there to basically sit alongside the human agent, maybe in the Quiq platform, who the human agent's chatting or talking to the end customer, and the AI assistant's there to suggest and help the human agent with responses. So I think we'd like to sort of start with that AI assistant first, because it's the natural first step to putting AI into place that I'm sure many people on the call have done. And yes, so one of the best I've ever seen so far within this space, especially in terms of its personality, as we'll hear in a minute, is the AI assistant that you've built, Tim, at Tappy Carpets.
Well, thanks, Chris. And again, hello, everyone. It's good to be here. So, yeah, lots is going through my mind as I hear the introduction, and I think about the process that we've been on, which I'll explain a little bit about now, and where we could then evolve what we've done in the context of what Mike and Chris have been talking about so far. But without getting too far ahead of ourselves, our journey with an AI assistant started, I think, with a very specific problem that we wanted to solve. So at Tappy Carpets and Flooring, we've got this beautiful combination of decades of heritage, centered around the Harris family, who started their first carpet shop in Peckham, through to now having over 200 stores across the country, across the UK. But also a keen technology edge and desire to innovate and to move the retail industry forward, united by a common goal, which is to leave our customers with a spring in their step. Not something that could always be said when shopping for carpet and flooring through the years, but what we want to do is enable our agents, our colleagues, our human colleagues, to have amazing conversations with people that leave them feeling inspired. So that was the context of where we started. Chris, you click on. So, but there was a few barriers to that challenge. One was that new store colleagues struggle with how much there is to learn. We're not alone there, I understand that. With carpet and flooring, there's multi-factors in terms of making that decision. So I was engaging with what Mike was saying in terms of the autonomy, that multi-step process. Our human colleagues have a multi-step process in terms of understanding the price thresholds our customers have in mind, their use case, combination of durability, look, feel, etc., etc. There's many different decisions that come into ultimately the purchase of carpet and flooring. And new store colleagues, there is many barriers to entry in order to be able to deliver that great conversation. Second to which is that we have a lot of colleagues with extensive tenure, and as we try and innovate and move forward, that some experienced colleagues were slower to keep up with the rate of change. So there was a sense of, I've got this now, I know what I'm doing, I've got lots of experience, and of course the world changes around them. And how do we nudge experienced colleagues to change what they say to customers, how they address things, different products, in an effective way, while staying lean ourselves as a learning and development team? We started, and actually a really interesting question has just dropped into the chat, which I can't answer in detail, but it does reflect a little bit on this point, was that Darren has asked if an organization doesn't have decent data. Now, we felt like we had a decent knowledge base, slightly different, but in our context, it's analogous. We had a decent knowledge base. It was written, and this is really key, it was written by our colleagues. So everything in our knowledge base was written by experienced colleagues from across the business. Our job as a learning and development department was not to write that ourselves, but to facilitate the process of taking everything that was in people's brains and getting it embedded into our knowledge base. But classically, it became a monster and it was hard to navigate and search. So very rich to a fault, where it actually then became difficult. And we could see when I was in stores, people looking at our wiki, as we refer to it. So if I say wiki, that's what we refer to our knowledge base. The people were looking around in it and they were starting to find bits. But if you think about the scenario that they're in, we don't want people to be behind a computer looking through a knowledge base. We want them to be up and engaging with our customers as they're walking around the store and giving them the theatre that our stores are famous for. So we started with a very specific problem that we wanted to solve. So I needed some clear objectives in order to be able to pitch to my bosses, the rest of the business, what we wanted to do. So started off with some things I knew that we could measure. So we wanted to accelerate the onboarding process. So for new starters to get to competence and to a decent level of performance. And then of course, increase the retention rates. Once we've taught everybody everything that they need to know in order to be effective within our business, we want to keep them, want to look after them, make sure they feel welcome and engaged in their work. And then to foster a self-service culture. So rather than L&D done to people pulling on learning and development platforms in order to be able to create great customer experiences. The ultimate goal, of course, is to have great conversations with our customers. So you can have all of those metrics, but really what we want to do is make sure our customers were engaged. So we decided that an AI assistant was what we wanted to do after a lot of research and discounting a lot of different options. Chris, if you just click onto the final box there. So I'll take these in reverse. My colleagues and I in the learning and development team were looking at different AI platforms like ChatGPT, and I remember my colleague Aaron saying to me, he's like, Tim, this is absolutely the way forward. We need to do this. Is how I'm learning. So why would we do anything different within our business for the people who want to learn how to provide great customer service? So we settled on that. What was really important, though, was that having done all of this, that the solution that we created needed to feel like a TAPI colleague. So while Chris and the other Chris at Quiq and some of the other members of the team were working their magic in the background, what we set our mind to was to create the personality of our AI assistant. So we did an exercise where we ran through what makes us great. You know, we're curious, we're loyal, we have a sense of humor, tenacious, and all of those things started to come together to create what we thought our AI assistant could be. So I'd like to introduce you to Barclay.
Okay, just let everybody know, Barclay can woof a little bit loud, so make sure your volume's not right at the top.
So Barclay is our faithful AI assistant, and I've got some numbers here, but when I realized it was starting to work was when I was looking at Quiq. Have got a great set of reporting tools in the back end where you can start to look at the conversation data. I had a big smile on my face one day when somebody asked Barclay a question and he gave a decent response and they said, "Good boy." And I was like, yep, it's starting to work. People are embracing Barclay as a colleague, as someone who can help them. And that's continuing on. Actually, some of the questions he gets asked in terms of can you sit, roll over, lie down, and those kinds of things never ceases to amaze me. But I think that goes to it being fun to use as well as effective. Initially, in our initial data, 55% of the inquiries were product related. We geared people in that direction. I'm going to come back to that number in a second. Of that 55%, 83% were answered effectively. So we went through and we looked at the responses that were given. We checked them against our knowledge base. There's some nice tools within the Quiq platform, simple thumbs up, thumbs down type things. And 83% were answered effectively. The other 17%, in fact, since we ran this data, I think that number would be higher now because we're continuously adding more content to the knowledge bank in order to address the other 17%. But what I found really interesting was the 45% of questions that were not product related. And the way I think about this is that this is as close as I've ever got in my role as actually being able to listen to the conversations that are happening within our stores. They're asking about HR topics, they're asking about product availability, all these things that we hadn't initially designed Barclay for were being asked. And that gives us the best information that we have about where to go to next. And we are adding now things to our knowledge bank that we never considered adding before because we're being led by our colleagues who, of course, are being led by our customers. So we've got this really, really nice link now to what's needed within our stores through Barclay that we're able to answer. So in summary, our takeaways from this is that we started with a single use case. We have an AI strategy, but we started in one place internally with an AI assistant for colleagues. Having proven that that's worked, now the appetite to expand that to our contact center and then ultimately one day directly to customers, the confidence that we feel in that journey has expanded many times over. Our harshest critics, point two, are our colleagues, because with their decades of collective experience and knowledge, of course they were going to test Barclay out. Of course they were going to ask him probably harder questions than our customers ever would. And they are now becoming advocates. And with that in mind too, hold the AI agent to the same standards as you would to any human colleagues. So sometimes I have to have a hard word with Barclay and give them some extra retraining if things haven't gone quite right. The flexibility of the Quiq tools allows us to turn that around really quickly. If something doesn't get answered well today, by tomorrow we can resolve that. And with that in mind, we're all learning and improving. Our colleagues are, we are within the central teams, but we can't do it without a great technology partner. So while we were worrying about the brand, the knowledge bank, adoption across the business, Quiq were helping us with the tools in order to be able to make that possible. So what we've been able to achieve together is pretty powerful. One last point that's not on the slides, and just going to that question of autonomy. There is absolutely now the confidence that we could train Barclay to make subtle nudges about what to do next. We have a concept at TAPI, we're not alone about the next best action. We're not hard sell. We help people through education and engaging with their product to make great selections for their flooring choice. What we think Barclay can do now is understand the context of the conversation that he's in and start to direct people into where we think the next best action would be, or to choose from a couple of options. So Agentic AI is a phrase that, as to many would be, it was relatively new to me. How I perceive that for our world is we can now start to train Barclay just to go, we're talking about this, we've asked questions here. I think the next best action you can take might be this, and to push people in that subtle direction. And obviously that's something we'll be working with Quiq on into the future. So that's it for me for now. Thank you very much. I hope there's been some insights in that. Of course, if there's any questions, fire away in the chat or feel free to make contact with me after this seminar.
Brilliant.
Tim, I'll just shout out, give a shout out to you, for being an AI innovator here. You've done a very nice job. The personification of the AI is Barclay, the helpful assistant with a nice retriever logo. It's perfect. I'm sure that had you picked a different personification, it wouldn't have been nearly as well adopted. It's very cute.
Yeah, a shout out to my colleague Holly Edwards for some of the branding and the personality card that she created for Barclay, which I think was one of the best pieces of work that we did in order to do that. I think AI innovator, thank you. I think what we did is we had a really specific problem to solve, of which AI was actually the right solution, not just because AI is what you should do now. So I don't know much about AI. I know our business. And AI happens to be the right thing to do, and therefore we've been able to do great things. I'm sure there are other cases where it's been done for the wrong use case, and that would be my watch out. When you can nail the problem and AI is the solution, it's amazing.
I think it's such a great use case because of where you started with colleagues, as you say, the harshest critics. And I think for me, seeing that your colleagues are beginning to use it more and more for different areas like HR now as well, I think it points to the trust that you've built. And of course, I think for all of us out there, AI and making sure that A, no hallucinations, B, it's going to be relevant with the content and the answer, but the trust that you've built with your employees is incredibly impressive. And speaking of which, with the engagements that need trust and need to be timely and accurate, I think certainly with airlines, that is incredibly true. Now we're going to sort of move on to more customer-facing AI agents. And as we'll see in some of the demos in a minute, Mike will show, solving real travel issues, not just maybe providing base information, but helping change tickets and give refunds, etc. And what we'd like to also do here is begin to showcase some of the channels that you can think about offering AI agents on. And of course, voice maybe being the one that is your biggest volume channel, I'm sure, out there, but you're probably thinking, oh, that could be the trickiest one. So Mike, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we're doing with Spirit Airlines?
Sure. So to start off with, I'll introduce the Spirit brand for those of you who have maybe not traveled in the U.S. Maybe the UK equivalent would be thought of as EasyJet. Spirit is an upstart airline challenging the major airlines. They have quite a bit of personality. Their planes are bright yellow. So they're very noticeable in the airport. And Spirit interacts with their clients in the Quiq platform on voice as well as asynchronous messaging channels. And in fact, it's kind of almost a bit misleading to describe that we interact with multiple channels, because our aim is to make those interactions actually multimodal, meaning that while I'm on a voice call and I have some options for selecting different itineraries, I can actually look at my phone and visually see through a text message, visually see the alternatives there, and then continue the conversation. So it might be, there's 3 choices, and I get it in my phone. I look at the 3 choices, and then I respond back and say, I'll take number 1, and the voice conversation continues on. So we also have the ability to transfer the conversation from voice to a messaging channel. And so Spirit has done a very nice job. It's been a long process, because as we talked about in the chat, the effectiveness of AI, to a certain extent, is determined by how much the AI can do. And so over time with Spirit, we've been building out more and more API access that allows us to do more and more automations in particular use cases, whether it be add a stroller to an existing ticket or update information, change a seat, etc. So the outcome of the Spirit implementation has been, at the top line, we've achieved a resolution rate that's in excess of 40%. It's actually a fair amount higher than that, but Spirit has asked us not to share exactly the stats. There's a lot of competitive information in there. They've also, if an issue can't be resolved directly by AI, because as I mentioned, all use cases haven't been exposed in APIs at this point in time, we can collect the information and pass that off to a human agent as well. And so Spirit has seen a significant improvement in their human agent efficiency, 16% reduction in average handle time. Overall, the interactions are shorter as well, factoring in AI as well. As Chris mentioned, travel, especially a travel disruption, is one of the most stressful times. And you don't want to, at that point in time, be dealing with a low quality experience. You need a very high quality experience from a consumer perspective. But on the other side, when a travel disruption occurs, whether it be weather or labor related, it's not just one passenger that's affected, it's many passengers that are affected. And Spirit has hundreds of thousands of passengers traveling every day. If a disruption occurs, it's hundreds of thousands of people that are impacted. And so, as you can imagine, staffing a contact center to handle an unexpected spike that might be thousands of times what your normal incoming volume is just reasonably, but it's not reasonably possible. And so as a result, the AI not only is able to improve the experience that Spirit delivers, but it also is able to help Spirit scale very effectively that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. Otherwise, you'd have people waiting on hold for hours at a time. So that scalability is very key for a business like Spirit.
Shall we see an example next? I think we've got one here, haven't we?
Yes, we do. And so go ahead and play. And while this is playing, I'll voice over the description. So what you're seeing is an experience where a customer has logged into the portal, so we know who they are. They've been identified. And so we also see immediately that the passenger was impacted by a disruption. And the passenger wants to, it's one of those situations where the airline's going to reimburse for staying overnight because of the disruption. And the passenger has gone and booked their hotel directly themselves. And they're applying for a refund from Spirit. And so what you see here was an automated flow where we recognize that this disruption occurred. The passenger asked about a refund for the hotel. They're able to upload their hotel receipt, and this will be processed in the background to verify. And then finally, the refund will be issued automatically to them electronically. So something in the past probably would have involved a multiple minute conversation with an agent is very easily handled by uploading the receipt and getting that refund processed electronically.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mike. So with our last example, want to sort of move on to the slightly adjunct vertical of hotels or hospitality. So just as a quick recap, obviously we've heard from Tim around the use of AI for assistance, helping the humans, whether they're in stores, in the contact center, or just general colleagues at TAPI, to understand the products and engage with customers better. We've heard on Spirit Airlines how to put an AI agent in the front line on the different channels, or the multimodal experience, as Mike explained, to actually really help customers, not just be a chat bot, be an act bot, but with the humans there to escalate to if we needed a human agent to do anything. What about AI agents engaging customers where there is no human agent? So I'm going to talk a little bit about Rixos Hotels as an example of that, AI agents engaging customers with no human support. So a little bit about Rixos, again, like Spirit. Probably most people have heard of Rixos Hotels. Really nice, only been to one once, but really nice all-inclusive hotels in Turkey and UAE and Egypt, etc. But of course, they're part of the Accor brand that most folks will know is Europe's largest hospitality brand. What I didn't know before I started working with them is just how big, with 5,500 locations over 110 countries, lots of different brands that you will know. Just as a quick aside, Accor Hotels is a wider customer for Quiq. So actually, funnily enough, today are going live with human-assisted messaging and chat channels to help customers with human agents out of Madagascar. So it's very much an international theme to this one. But Rixos wanted to launch an AI agent to help customers explore a booking that they were making at a hotel, for example, in Dubai, in UAE, or in Turkey. And a little bit like you alluded to earlier, Tim, with the retail experience in TAPI, you don't typically walk out of the store with a carpet under your arm. So you're making the purchase, and then there's a delay before you get the benefit and the enjoyment of the product in action. Same with airlines, same with hotels. Maybe you're making a booking with a Rixos hotel that you're not going to stay in until your summer holiday. So they wanted to make it a much richer, engaging experience. And of course, in the old world of chatbots, there would be a lot of effort to train a bot to be able to handle the multitude of questions you might get about a stay. So with LLM-powered AI agents, this was very quick. And I know, Darren, you've asked this question before, and also John from Carnival Cruises, how quickly you can get up and running. This was up and running very, very quickly. And really the objective was to help customers explore their upcoming purchase. But of course, they're not doing that just for the CX. They were doing that to actually drive sales as well. So we saw a 200% increase in customers clicking out to actually book additional experiences like restaurants or spa treatments, etc. So not only did it drive revenue, but it also increased the customer sat. And a little bit like Tim was saying, over time, seeing how customers are using it, the improvement in the accuracy of the answers and the information provided improved too. So like with Spirit, let's just have a quick look at what this might look like in action. So with this experience here, we're basically seeing asynchronous web chat, so the ability to come in here and actually ask some questions about the hotel in question. So this person's obviously maybe booked and they've got some questions ahead about what restaurant, is there a particular one? You can see here the visual nature of messaging channels, which I've always personally really loved, to be able to sort of explore things like carousels here, to look at multiple restaurants and actually explore what option's right for you. But also to jump back to context switching. Okay, well, I was interested. I'll just play that again for you as well so you can see it. Asking questions about, oh, how do I get there? What is the options for sort of transfers? Do you have a gym? The AI agent can quickly sort of swap between these questions. And I think also one of the nice things is that you can structure this flow. And if you did want to then, if Rixos did want to have a human agent, obviously you can have a nice seamless handover within here. So we've covered today, particularly with Tappy, that this is a great experience to support your colleagues. We've covered with Spirit that you can engage at really large scales on customer service, but also with Rixos here, you can engage to drive sales as well. So lots of places to start. So the last thing we wanted to sort of cover today is just a little bit on the lessons learned. And again, I'll bring you both in, Tim and Mike. And we've managed to sort of get to this last sort of slide with a little bit of time. So I know we had some questions submitted ahead of time, so hopefully we'll be able to get to those as well. And I know, guys, you've been monitoring the chat as well, so maybe we'll be able to bring some of those in. So again, feel free to jump in, Tim and Mike, with anything you want to add to these. But I put the 4 lessons that I feel are the most powerful on screen here. And again, folks, feel free to ask about them. But I think the first one for me across all the examples, and certainly working in this space for a while now, is to think of AI as your colleague. Don't think of it, the classic phrase of AI is out there. Certain people think to take your job. Maybe a person leveraging AI might take your job. But if you use AI to do your job better, more efficiently, effectively, to remove all that boring, repetitive tasks, then really, that's when AI is at its best for CX.
I completely agree with that. I think with what Barclay is doing is he's trawling through the knowledge bank to return the insight that our colleague needs so they can do the fun stuff, which is talking to the customer. So in that case, Barclay is augmenting that experience and taking some of that away. So it's not replacing the human at all. It's a time transaction. The time spent looking for the answer has been replaced with a great insight that allows me to carry on doing what I want to do, which is engaging with the customer. That's how we see Barclay's role within Tappy.
And I think actually engaging with your colleagues should be fun. It's probably even more fun to engage with your dog. So I think you've definitely got the spirit of it as well, and the personality. And I know you touch on this a lot, Tim, as well when we talk. And I think working with yourself on the learning and development side, the Tappy Academy really sort of underlines this for me. But this always be learning, always be improving. The real beauty of leveraging AI in customer experience is you've got the conversation data there right in front of you. Learn, as you said, Tim, what customers are saying. And then obviously we can look at the prompts. Let's get technical for a second. We can look at the prompts. We can look at the instructions that we're giving to the AI agent and improve from there. So it's not a fire and forget in any which way. And again, multiple things here. It can be, and again, Tim, maybe you can provide some context on this. It can be that Quiq can be providing a managed service to keep improving and analyzing and driving a kind of customer success program with you. It could be that a customer wants to do that themselves, or it can be sort of the spirit of the partnership that we have, that it's a hand in glove between you and Chris, for example, looking at the learnings and improving. So definitely, to get the most out of this, keep adapting.
Absolutely. And the learning and development team, Aaron and Holly, the ability that they have to help to train Barclay, and I just want to echo what you said, it is astonishing how when you write the prompt into doing the training, how human that is. So we are telling Barclay things like, you are an expert in carpet and flooring, you are curious about this. And then you see that prompt reflected in his personality as he returns the answers. It's quite incredible.
It is, yeah. And I think that gives you the confidence then to point 3 to begin to provide more agency or autonomy or expand the use case, however people want to think about it. And as Mike touched on as well, that's best done by giving access to more systems. We couldn't help change a booking with Spirit Airlines if we weren't integrated to the booking system. But definitely continue to coach your AI, continue to hold that to those same high standards, and get that confidence over time. And I think one of the things I'm most excited by, Tim, is to work with you guys on, like with Rixos there, but taking it to another level of allowing Barclay to sell, to actually giving him the agency to help customers truly explore flooring and maybe nudge them on to the next best action with his friendly personality. So I think you're going to give agency over time there as well.
Yeah, I think explore is a really good word. As people explore the various options they have, and this isn't just our sector, as people do their research element, to have a trusted companion who can help you along that, explore things, come back out, go in a slightly different direction, and then at the right time, the agency to say, we're at this point now, you might want to think about this.
And I think for me, the last one, and having been in the industry, as I say, since 2007, just very quickly, you go back to that era pre-iPhone, with web chat, with synchronous web chat, human-assisted channels, that's what we had, and disrupting email and voice and providing digital chat channels. The best experiences, as we all know, tend to be conversational even, and that makes them more engaging. And I think digital messaging channels are ideal for that. So one of the things as we think about AI in practice here for CX, with messaging channels being pleasant to deal with a brand over, is to actually think about engaging customers maybe where you would have hidden chat, or you would have hidden the phone number, or hidden email. I like to sort of call it running towards the fire. Start to offer engagement with customers, because with AI, it's a 24/7, 365 opportunity to engage and delight your customers. And I think to add on this slide, Mike, before I ask you a question about build versus buy.
Nothing to add. You guys, you and Tim did a fantastic job recapping here.
Cool. So I think, John, we've got a few minutes left, which is good. Kept to time. So I know there were two questions submitted ahead of time, and then I think there's been a few more in the chat here. So maybe giving the chance.
And Darren's back online.
Oh, Darren's there. So Darren, if you want to ask the question yourself, by all means. I know we chatted about this, Darren, one-to-one as well.
Yeah,
but that sort of buy versus build dilemma that we're all seeing out there. AI is too much of a strategic imperative that you can just outsource all control and all sort of thought of how to use it. We all need to, as businesses, really be involved in how this works. But you had a question about sort of how brands and how us as vendors are sort of thinking about putting enough control into the hands of customers so they can build their own experiences, but obviously not leaving brands who are not AI experts to be left adrift on their own. So do you want to add something to that before I ask Mike about buy versus build?
Yeah, look, the thing that sort of we're coming across is we're speaking to sort of clients and sort of using it ourselves, and there's always this debate where we've got the data scientists saying that they can build it themselves, and then sort of we've got our preference, which is product led, because we just recognise that we can't actually sort of do all the R&D that say a company's developing a product could. But I guess in your view, do you think there's a sort of there's going to be a sort of a potential shift? Because the reason why I sort of ask that question is because even just sort of this morning, we've had about one client say they tried it and they did a chat GPT, but when they come to roll it out, they couldn't scale it up really. So it's interesting to see what your sort of additional thoughts are in this, and whether you think it's going to become a more apparent situation in the future.
Darren, your example of the client that couldn't scale it up, I suspect it's probably the root of that scale issue was around hallucinations and accuracy. And we've seen this a bunch of times. It's so interesting because building AI is very deceiving. You do a relatively low investment and get a very good return on that low investment. Like you could have a team who in a couple of weeks have loaded data and they're like, this is amazing. We have AI that answers questions 90% of the time. It's incredible. So if we just spend a little bit more time, we'll get to 100% and then we can deploy it. And it's so interesting because there's where the deception is, that closing the gap to get to high levels of accuracy, oftentimes it's not possible to close that gap with the kind of like straightforward fine-tuning and just managing hallucinations through prompts. And so as a result, you're kind of like that 90% we got done very quickly, that remaining 10 or 20% to get to a production-ready solution turns out to take like 1,000 times more. And in some cases, it just literally can't be done. Like the 1,000 times requires like backtracking and taking a completely different implementation path and putting more technology in place to be able to get there. And so I think more and more people are starting to understand this phenomenon, but it's very easy to get tricked that this is going to be easy to complete. And then you get to a project which just continues to drag on, and every improvement you make is met with an equally bad reduction in capability in some other way, and you're just like stuck in a quagmire of a cyclical improvement and degradation. So it's an interesting comment. From stepping back for a little bit from on the build versus buy dimension, I think today, people view build versus buy as a binary choice. I need to go to one end or the other. And I think that's a false conundrum. And so what I mean by that is there are options, and Quiq happens to be one of the best ones, is a way to navigate being able to simultaneously buy and start with a stronger platform, but then build it yourself. There are a lot of vendors in the space who their solutions are what I would refer to as more of a black box, where they're going to build for you, and your team may not be able to see what's inside of the black box that the vendor has built. And our approach is much more of a clear box, where the client can work alongside of the Quiq team, see all the work that the Quiq team is doing, and then eventually, after we've trained them about how to effectively build AI, that the team could actually own the implementation going forward. So, the build versus buy conundrum, I think, gets solved by, instead, you should buy to build and start with a more powerful platform than just an open AI API and a bunch of open source tools and LangChain and Python code. You can build on a much higher level in a platform that'll give you reporting, observability, debugging, testing, multi LLM support, et cetera. So I've droned on for a long time. Darren, thank you for the question. Any follow-on thoughts there?
Only to echo, Mike, that's been our experience, that we are now looking into the back end and the prompts and learning that. So from a client perspective, we got to that that point of confidence with our use case very quickly. You're quite right that some of the other use cases that we have there, I think, will take longer to resolve, but we've got there. With our initial problem that we were trying to solve and solved it, and now we're learning a little bit about how the back end works and how the prompts work. So just to echo that has played out in reality.
And I think, I know we're up on time, John, but perhaps run over just slightly, is that this is a question we get asked a lot that John had submitted as well. And it sort of really ties into this. And first thing I'd say is we're more than happy, to show you this product we're talking about, AI Studio, happy to give you access to it so you can try yourselves to see, like Tim has been mentioning, how these agents work. Look inside the brain of the AI assistant or agent and see how it's actually operating. And John had sort of asked, well, how long does it take to start to tune the AI to start to deliver real benefit? I guess, Tim, as a customer starting out, how quickly was Barclay able to be useful to give real benefit?
Yeah, so I think our work in creating the knowledge base first, before we even knew about AI, really did help. So getting our collective wisdom down, written in a way that was already consumable for human beings. And this was what really blew my mind, was that a great answer for a human is a great answer for an AI assistant, because it extracts that character, that way that you wrote your, in our case, training material, and then that informs the response. So we did a lot of legwork first, which helped speed up the process. Once we gave the content to Quiq to ingest and then train up the tool, I mean, it felt fast, I'm not discounting the amount of work that was done at the quick end of things to give me, the client, that perception that it happened very, very fast. But we're talking about weeks, not months. We're talking about this. We actually have a working model very, very quickly, and then the training phase kicked in. So with some focus and some energy behind it, it is fast, but there's a lot of work that we did in the front end to gather our content together. If a business already has that, brilliant, you're a long way there. If it's a case of bringing that all together, I'm imagining that depending on the complexity of the organization, that could be time consuming.
Cool, John, we're up on time. Was there anything in the chat that we feel we can cover now, or are we okay to run on a little bit?
No, we're absolutely fine to run on if you want to sort of continue covering any questions that we've received ahead of time. But anyone who has to step away, thanks very much for joining us and being part of this live recording session. But happy just to spend a few more minutes, Chris, for the on-demand delegates, just covering off any final points.
Great. If anyone's got a question and say, we're more than happy to answer it if you want to jump in, or Mike, if you've seen something in the chat. If not, we can give some closing thoughts and leave it there.
Yeah. Well, one thing Chris, a question from myself is it's sort of from a sort of, obviously I'm not from a AI technology backgrounds, and so as an observer who has observed the evolution of CX over the past couple of decades, what it looks like is there's a great opportunity to be creative, to look at all of the points in the customer journey when communication with the brand, be it reactive from the customer to the brand or proactive from the brand to the customer. There's great opportunities where communication can be value adding, to be able to slot in those communications, almost in an unlimited way, because obviously you're not consuming the very expensive time of a human agent. One can look at all sorts of parts of the customer journey when a little bit of communication could really help the customer experience.
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I think that running towards the fire analogy I gave, and I think, to use Tappy again, because Tim, you kind to join us today. Think about carpets and flooring, then often what we talk about is how can we nudge, or how can we do next best action? How can we use outbound notifications, value add, to John's point, not just badgering customers, but value add nudges to move them along that journey? And then how can we at the top of the funnel actually use social and messaging channels that your customers, everyone on this call, customers are engaging in, Instagram, WhatsApp, with their friends and family? How can we use these channels to proactively and preemptively provide those nudges? I know it's something you're thinking about, isn't it, Tim, about how we can look at that whole life cycle of the customer and be a little bit more proactive at nudging them along.
Yeah, it's a process, as I described before. And a large part of carpet and flooring is about trust. You mentioned it before in terms of, all the use cases today actually don't walk out with the product in your hand, not at that moment anyway. So whether it's a human being or an AI agent, that confidence, personality, accuracy, all of those things help to create the trust. But often you don't know what to do next. Well, what is the next best thing I can do in order to get carpet and flooring down, or book a holiday, or book a flight? What is the next step? And to have a trusted assistant say, you probably should do this thing next, that is powerful. As a consumer myself, there are many times where I get excited about something and that excitement drains away when I'm like, what do I do next? I think I'm going to do this thing, but I'm not sure where to turn. So to have the assistant say, take the mental load off and go and do that, that's really useful.
And if you want to know what to do next, as I say, more than happy to take anyone who wants to through the platform. Tim, you've been very grateful, very generous with your time today. So we'd love to follow up with any questions that anyone has after this. Appreciate we've taken another extra 6 minutes of your time. So any closing thoughts, Mike, or hand back to John to wrap up?
I think we'll go to John's wrap up. In fact, to your point, if anyone wants to reach out with questions, we go to the last slide, we've got our contact info.
Good point. Zap away.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll draw things to a close now. So whether you have joined us live or you're watching on demand, thank you so much for your attention, for your company, and if you've asked questions, thanks very much for those. If you've got further questions, then you can reach out on these email addresses on the screen, or you can engage on social media, on LinkedIn, with Tim, Mike, and Chris. And so to those people, I say a big thank you to Chris Humphris, Mike Myer, and Tim Fisher from Tappy Carpets and Flooring. Thank you so much for your insights and experiences. AI education, the series we're building here at Directors Club, is all about bringing the latest thinking, and all of that latest thinking is embedded in organizations such as yourselves that are inventing the next generation of tools to engage and communicate with our customers. So thank you so much for your time and your patronage to enable us to bring this information to our members and future members. So thank you so much indeed. And just last thing to say, if you wish to look at what we're doing next at Directors Club, just go to directorsclub.world, and we've got an events section, and you'll see our upcoming events. But thank you for your time and attention today, and hope to see you very soon at a future Directors Club World event. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.